Hey, welcome to Allergy Dragon's Lair. We are live on Facebook right now, and if you are watching the replay on YouTube, welcome. In this Allergy Dragon's Lair episode, before I jump into that, let me do my quick disclaimer, and then you can just stay tuned for a very cool topic, strange topic. I mean, it's just really cool. It's about breast cancer surviving breast cancer. So anyway, first off, little legal disclaimer: we are not doctors, nor do we claim to be. We are not healthcare providers. And all the opinions expressed here are that of our guests and our own and our life experiences. So please, if you have any questions, obviously we will answer them. And if you have any health questions, though, obviously we will share our personal experiences, but we are not healthcare providers. And please make sure that you advise your healthcare provider and your doctor for your own personal needs. End of our disclaimer. Okay. Yay, I get better at that every time, I think.
I think so.
Maybe. So anyway, we are live. So we're live on Facebook. This is being recorded for YouTube. So obviously, if you're watching the YouTube channel, go ahead and subscribe, like, share, comment. We see a Will behind you. Hi. He's a surprise guest. Anyway, so Cindy is with me. If you've ever been on, seen one of our videos, then you know that Cindy is our beauty guru, CFO, my sister, my literal celiac sister, the oldest of us girls. Please make sure to know that on Facebook, you can go ahead and ask immediate questions. There is a little bit of delay, so please just be aware. I do see a couple people watching going back and forth. But if you do have questions and I don't immediately answer them or say something about that, then that's because there is a delay. So unfortunately, and if you're watching it on YouTube, contact us, comment below, and let us know. So Cindy, I already did your whole intro, but you obviously can introduce yourself. So
that's fine.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. This is what I do. I talk and then cook. I guess not everything I do, right?
Yeah, everything you do.
Yeah. So okay. So I'm going to hand this predominantly over to Cindy. So quite a few people that have been following Cindy and Cindy's Corner blog do know that Cindy has had a fight with breast cancer and has predominantly won that fight as a survivor. We were talking right before we came live that it was kind of surreal to type that. So anyway, I'm going to hand this over. There've been quite a few questions on just general, how did it go? What was your fight like? Dealing with celiac disease, allergies to medication. I mean, different things like that. Did you have experience things like that? So I didn't want to go, oh, here, this is community question. They're all the community question. They just want to know about your journey. So without further ado, I'm handing it over to Cindy. There you go, ma'am.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is surreal. It is surreal to talk about because it's surreal that you don't ever want to get that diagnosis and have to go through it. And I was very fortunate to be surrounded by amazing people that have helped me go through it, including my now husband, aka was also my boyfriend at the time.
The guy that was randomly back behind you.
The guy that was right behind me. We're on vacation. I have to take him away from the house to get him to relax, which is really essential for him. But anyway, December 2020, I had my annual mammogram, as I always do. I always have been a firm believer in getting your annual mammogram. That's what's going to be important, catches everything first. And at my annual mammogram, the mass was noticed by a radiologist, and they kind of called me within the following day, which was really kind of huh, what?
Right.
So they saw a mass, he's concerned about it, and they required me within 2 days to be back there, and they did another, what I call booby squish, but they also did an ultrasound. And the ultrasound, the radiologist then hit me again. You need to have a biopsy. My general practitioner made a recommendation for me to go to somebody specifically to have the biopsy. So in January 2021, I went to a general surgeon. I didn't know that they were a general surgeon at the time. I didn't question my general practitioner. And this is where I say, question your general practitioner about where they're sending you. This was just a general surgeon, and it was a very bad experience with my biopsy. It was painful. It was excruciating. They didn't do any of the recommendations that my friend who is also a celiacsister, the reason I got into celiacs, was the one that kind of reached out to me and said, how are you doing? I explained to her about how my biopsy was, I came out of the thing in tears. I was in pain. They didn't tell me anything about wearing a sports bra, about putting, icing it down 20 minutes and 20 minutes off. If it hadn't been for her, it would have been really a lot worse. But she says, go, do you have a sports bra? Go put it on. Start icing it 20 minutes on and off. And she said, because you don't want to. And that's when I learned this probably wasn't a good experience. But then it got even worse because the biopsy lab report came to me before I went to see the surgeon. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I returned, and I actually hit my girlfriend up and I said, hey, I got the report and it's saying this and this. And she's like, I'm so sorry. You do have. And she said, you got the report before going back? And I'm like, yeah. And nobody contacted me. So she's the one that unfortunately broke the news. Yes, you have breast cancer. Now, she didn't go into the details. And then when I went there and I said, oh, so they didn't go into the details. They didn't explain it to me. And I said, I got this report and it was before I came here. And it was just like, I'm like, what? And they were really it was not a very positive situation at all. And they didn't even go through it. I never met the breast surgeon. And then they wanted to start scheduling I had to go get this x-ray done. And I'm like I'm not feeling good about this. And so I actually went back to my girlfriend. She says to me, and I explained to her what all is going on. And she says, where exactly is your address? And let me go look up what you need to have. And she gave me two different options. And I went actually to the Helen Graham Cancer Center in Newark, Delaware, is where I ended up going, because I could actually get a breast surgeon. I don't know how, absolutely. So I made an appointment and I went and met them in February of 2021, February 8th. And of course, I was required to take all the materials that I had and transfer everything over, and said I wasn't going to do at first, my general practitioner was upset with me that why was I doing this? And I explained to him several reasons. And then he finally said to me, well, as long as you're happy with your choice, that's the most important thing. You need to know that it's important to have somebody doing what they do and do it well. So that's one thing. Question. If you don't just take everything blindly, I think is what I learned from that experience. Don't just take it blindly. Like, why didn't you send me to a breast cancer specialist? Somebody who deals with this. I don't want general surgeon. I'm sorry. I don't want a general surgeon for breast. There's a lot to go with it. Yeah. So anyway, I went to, and my breast surgeon was Valerie Straub, and she went through everything. She went through the report that she was given. She went through everything and explained everything in detail that I could understand what all this meant, what needed to be done, everything like that. And then was saying, do you want me to be your surgeon? Is this your, I see that you went somewhere else for your biopsy. And I said, yes. we're going with you. I felt secure in what that surgeon was saying to me. She took the time to go through every bit of it and explain every bit of it in detail, along with Will. We were in that room together. We got to hear, we got to question. Even Will came up with great questions. I don't know what I would have done without. So it's also important to take somebody else with you, whoever you feel comfortable. I am not uncomfortable with my husband seeing me with, like, I want to be comfortable with whoever I'm taking that experience. So that's something I would recommend too. Get somebody who's not, so they have the mind to hear things that you're not hearing and ask questions you may not be thinking about, because it is very much a very emotional time in your life. Very emotional for us women to find out we have breast cancer. Okay. So
to say the least.
Yeah. I was hoping also the breast surgeon was hoping now go from breast surgery to radiation therapy. They require you to have radiation therapy because when they take out a mass out of your breasts, the potential of additional loose things coming away from that removal, you have cancer potentially there. So that's why you have to have radiation therapy. We were hoping to just go from there to there and not have to deal with chemo. That's would have been the perfect scenario. She also said a lot of times that we don't have to do a 3D MRI breast bilateral without contrast, but when they sit down, they begin to talk about this at Helen Graham Cancer Center. They get everybody involved. They have the surgeons, they have radiology, they have your radiation therapist, but they also have the person that if you have to go through chemo, there's a whole team of them that get together and they map out each person, how they're going to attack this, how that person is going to be attacked, and everything as they progress. So you have a whole team of people, and it's amazing. It was the most amazing experience because Helen Graham, even everybody I dealt with was just amazing people. So unfortunately, they did require me to do a 3D MRI breast bilateral without contracts. And it was the most scariest thing I ever went through, because they actually put you breast down into this thing. So there's a tube you go into and the tube squishes you. I almost hyperventilated, and they're talking to me and you cannot move. It's pressing down on you. And it was so friggin' scary. And I'm claustrophobic.
I'm claustrophobic too. Yes.
To a point, but this was, oh my gosh. And I had to breathe through it, and I kept breathing. Okay, I can get through it, because it was only literally 10 minutes, but it felt like a lifetime. Next time, if I had to go through that, they would have to sedate me. I would not be able to get in that machine again. It was the worst. That was the worst, scariest thing I ever went through in my life. But I made it through it, and I got out of it, and I said, that was the worst thing. And they were so sympathetic. That was the worst thing I ever went through. But anyway.
Well, it's good that they were very supportive, like the whole team. And I think that's the big thing. If you don't feel supported by the people that are treating you, how can you really get better?
Right. And that's the thing. They were all so supportive and caring. There was compassion all the way across the board. There was compassion with everybody you met, from the person who opened the doors, like where we got. And and I'll explain later, but even had to get you in a wheelchair or anything. It was just amazing. Everybody I dealt with. I can't say I ever ran into anybody that was somebody I didn't want to deal with. The Helen Graham Cancer Center in New York, Delaware. The day of the surgery was March 10th.
My birthday. Thank you.
I thought that was a good sign to me anyway. But the day of the surgery, they don't tell you, but the radiologist actually puts a wire So you have to go in, they do another mammogram. Literally, they're doing you in a mammogram machine, and they're going to put a wire into the breast. And what they want to show, because I'm kind of like showing. So mine had to be here, but they put a wire here, a guideline. It's almost like a guideline, but it's wire sticking out, and they push it through so that the surgeon knows where to go to remove the mass, so that they're not just going in there digging blindly. That was, I don't want to say it was excruciating. It was just weird. It felt weird. It felt very unnatural, but they put the wire through, and then they take you. It was funny because that was during COVID. So Will could not really be with me in a lot of places. He had to sit down out in places. So I went, they transferred me over to the surgeon. So they take you with a nurse, take you over, took me over, drove me over into a van over to where they would actually do the surgery. And then they make you go through all this other stuff of putting your stuff away, getting dressed a certain way, things like that. And it's really, and I have a cane with me, so.
Line break.
You know, wine break. That was probably, I wasn't scared about surgery. I really had faith in everybody around me, and they got me settled in. We talked about, the surgeon even came up, and we talked a little bit about what was going to happen and what was going to take place, because she would also go up into checking your lymph nodes as well, because the worst thing that can happen is if you have breast cancer and it gets in your lymphatic situation. And we didn't know what kind of, we really still didn't know what stage my cancer was at, and until they take out the mass. They don't know what stage you're at, and they don't know what kind of cancer you really have until they start taking it and slicing it. On March 14th, I had to go back to see the surgeon. And that's when I found out the final pathology demonstrated mine was 2.7 centimeters of the mass that they got. It was grade 2. It was an invasive mammary carcinoma without DCIS. DCIS is ductal carcinoma. Instead, it's the presence of normal cells inside of a milk duct in the breast. I had one benign lymph node, but the bad news was when they did my Onconti DX testing, that's where they take that the mass out of your breast, and they slice through it, and they find out what's really going on. Unfortunately, the mass resulted in a return occurrence score of 34, which is high risk in my age category. And that's when she had to break the news that I would have to have chemo. And the first thing she said, you will lose your hair. And that's when I burst into tears. And I don't think it was a fact that I would lose my hair. I think it was the fact that she told me I was going to have to go through chemo. And I did not want to go through chemo.
Yeah.
So now it's required to have chemo with Dr. Vera. 6 cycles were planned, although I was only able to complete 5 of the 6. And the last dose was 8/12/2021. My first experience with chemo was not a good experience. These people, you have to understand, and I don't think we think about it. When somebody gives you chemo, the nurses dress up in hazmat to give you chemo. The first thing they required me to do, though, is they first gave me a dose of steroids. my first experience with the chemo drugs, I said, something's wrong. It's not right. They had to stop it immediately. They got Dr. Vera. How do we address this? They gave me some more steroids and then restarted again, but they dropped the dosage. I got through that cycle. So my cycles were every 3 weeks. So the second cycle, I still had the same reaction again. They had to stop the steroids. And then by the third one, they got it right. But this is every 3 weeks I'm going through. How did my diet affect it? Okay. They give you medications for nausea. Okay. I had a couple of motions of nausea, but no issue. What really became an issue is after the 4th and 5th was the fact that I literally wasn't nauseous, but I would try to eat and I immediately run to the bathroom and just throw up. And she said, well, aren't you taking nausea? I said, I'm not nauseous. I'm vomiting. I'm just go to the bathroom and it comes up. Anything I tried to eat. The last month after the 5th chemo treatment, I didn't eat for 30 days. I could barely drink. Everything everything you drank and everything it tasted like salt. So it's like, okay, I went through the desert. I'm thirsty. Let me get some water. And the water tastes like salt. Literally just pure salt. Anything I drank, I'm like, I was a mess. So by the time we went to see my follow-up, because you had to go right before your next treatment of your chemo, you had to go see the doctor or her assistant. So this time when I went to see her, I was in a wheelchair, completely incoherent, and had lost extreme weight. And she's like, I don't think we can do another one. I don't think number 6 can happen. And they said, she says, well, I need to talk to the surgeon, to the doctor, the chemo doc, Dr. Vera. And Dr. Vera even came back and said, we've got at the lowest dosage. Let's stop. We can't go any further. Will this prevent me from the reason for having all this chemo was not to get me over breast cancer, it was to keep me from having potential of other cancers happening.
Right.
I had, and let me explain, my cancer was, I had the best breast cancer you could have. Okay, so what my breast cancer involved was, my cancer was because the hormones in my breast have receptors on, and receptors cause the cancer. So I didn't have a bed, they were able to luckily I didn't have to have more surgery because they got the whole mass. So that was the upside of having that wonderful breast surgeon. I didn't have to have, but the chemo, and I've said this to my family, I will never, ever go through chemo again. There's no quality of life. I couldn't eat. I had a hard time drinking. It was the most miserable thing. And I had to watch the love of my life look at me when I looked like I was at death's door. And I'm just like, I can't go through that. And I can't see putting my family through that ever again. Chemo is like, if this doesn't keep me from not having another cancer, I'm like going, okay, God, there's an issue here. We need to find a cure for cancer. Anyway.
Just saying.
Yeah. So got through that. So then the next thing was, okay, we got through chemo. They tried to get me a little bit healthier. They kind of wait a little while before they start the radiation. So in August was my last dose. Well, they didn't start the radiation till October. So I had a while to kind of bring myself back. During that time, yeah, it took a long time. I'm still recovering from eating and drinking. There's things I can't eat anymore. There's things that are just like, I don't drink anymore because they're just, one of the biggest things is sweetness. I have neuropathy in my hands, not quite as bad as it was. So I'm hoping that it's going to get better. I still have neuropathy in my feet a bit, in my toes. So those things continue. They tell you it takes anywhere from 6 months to a year to get chemo completely out of your body. So at this point, we know it's September. I should pretty much have most of that chemo out of my body. I'm not that type of girl, so who knows? Yeah, I have always a reaction to medication, so I try to avoid those. But anyway, so the next stage was to begin radiation therapy. And that was with Dr. Romack. And my first meeting with her was in September. And she went through all the information. So she gets a team together. And the team works on my evaluation. And they take all that information, they plan up. But the first time you go, they are putting you in the machines. They're taking all these pictures around your whole area, and they're putting tape on you and things like that. And they give you a little tattoo. You get three pinpoint tattoos, and they're this size. Okay. And I get a tattoo here and one on each side here. And the reason they do that is so that when they put you in the machines, they can line you up very easily for each one of your treatments without going through a whole rigmarole. They line the machine up to where your tattoos are when you go in for your radiation. You have to go into radiation Monday through Friday every day. I went from 10/11/2021 until my last one on November 9th, 2021, Monday through Friday, every day, the same time they want you. The first, most of the treatment is through your whole, all your breast area, okay? Then they concentrate for 5 days on just the area in which you have, where I had the breast cancer, which is all here, okay?
Okay.
So they're going up in that area. They tell you you might get a sunburn. And I use the quote because BS on that, because I had a 2nd or 3rd degree radiation burn.
Because you're not normal. You're not stereotypical.
Well, evidently,
we're not stereotypical.
Well, no, and because most people do have that. I think they do it just to not scare you, but they need to, like, a lot of women do. And I run into other women like, oh, I had whole discoloration, or I think some people just had major discoloration. They do tell you about discoloration. There's discoloration on this side of the boob, but the burn was really, really bad. And again, I don't know why I would have done without Will helping me to put the stuff on and bandaging it. And it was miserable. It took forever for it to heal. It was horrible. And I don't know how many times I cried and, like, you know, I don't know if I can keep doing this through all the chemo and everything. I was like, it was hell. It was miserable. I rang the bell at my last radiation because that considers you're done. November 9th, 2021. That will be forever etched in this head. That ringing the bell. She says, do you want to ring the bell? I said, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to ring the bell.
I'm gonna ring the bell, damn it.
Damn it, I'm going to. But then, guess what? It's not over. It's not over. Because now I have to have hormone replacement therapy. And when people think hormone replacement therapy, what we're doing in me is they're turning off those receptors that cause my breast cancer. So the hormones I'm taking are to turn that receptor on that created the first episode of me having hormone therapy, having the
cancer.
breast cancer. So hormone therapy, wonderful. Guess what? I'm going through menopause again. Guess what? You're going to have aches and pains. Got those. You're going to have night sweats, hot flashes. These are all potential side effects. Well, I took them all. So I'm going to get it.
You're going to get it all.
I'm going to get it all. Having problems sleeping. I'm like going, wait a minute, I went through this. Really? Again? So I had to go through it again, and I'm going through it now. I did the last visit I went to see her, and I said, hey, these night sweats and hot flashes are horrible, but the medication they gave me, one in every 3 people get good response. Well, when I looked up the medication and the side effects, I said, nope, stick with what I got. Thank you. I'm not taking that. I'll stick with night sweats and hot flashes and all the other stuff that goes with it. I did have my mammogram in 2022, and it was cleared.
Yay!
Yay. But you are required the first 2 years after you go through breast cancer to see your doctors every 6 months and do a mammogram. And of course, my mammogram was good. So as long as my mammogram in 2023 is cleared, then I'll go back to yearly again and not have to see the doctors at all. But that's where we're at. I feel like I'm pretty recovered as I deal with other things that have come down the pipe. And hormone therapy, hormone replacement therapy is a pain, but I have good days and I have bad days. As far as eating, yeah, I still back now pretty much, but there are things that have definitely changed. I don't certain like sweets, very sweet things now, not a great thing, which is kind of a good thing for me. So I won't get upset about that. I don't have sweets as much as I like.
That's good, because I need that right now, because I'm actually experiencing where I'm eating more sweet stuff, which I used to not be a huge sweet person either, but like it's like I want it after, because I'm going through menopause. Actually.
Yeah, so, sweets are not my big thing anymore. So
yeah.
So
I got it now.
Yeah, I can eat like a taste or two. It's like even like my Grand Marnier, which used to be my favorite drink of all times. I can't stand the stuff now. I can't get over the sweetness. But well, like I said, I was one of the very lucky ones. There are a lot of women out there that have terrible times going through it. Matter of fact, I had a dear friend that I worked with, and his sister lost her battle with breast cancer. So all I can say is get those mammograms. They are so important. If you feel anything, be your own advocate. It's so amazing how far they've come with mammograms to find something so small and just be able to take care of it.
Yeah, I think definitely getting your yearly mammogram is important. And then I think that also being aware and having an advocate with you is huge. And then we can all agree that cancer sucks and chemo really, really sucks. But you're at the other side of it. And like we talked about surrealness and that kind of thing. But yeah, like, you know, it's definitely surreal to be like coming full circle, especially since like November 9th, like you're getting ready to hit like some of your like
my milestones.
Years. Yeah, your
like
milestones.
A year. Yeah. So
it's kind of like, oh, okay. And then it's like I had surgery March 10th, you know, that's going to be coming up, you know. Yeah, I'll always remember that. It's my birthday. So the stereos, okay, we will just share with everybody that generally I do not celebrate my birthday anymore because for the past, oh my gosh, it's been about 15 years now. But like this was the first year, knock on wood, that nothing really bad happened. Nobody died in my family. They like to die on or around my birthday. That includes friends, family friends. I mean, it's crazy. And grandmothers, like that. It's always been like, and I get like very nervous around my birthday time. And so when Cindy told me I'm going to have surgery on your birthday, and I think it's a good thing, I'm like, I don't. I was like very nervous. But it ended up being a good one. So I guess maybe we broke the jinx. I don't know.
I think we broke the jinx. So
jinx,
definitely. So to me, it was a good sign because when you came along, to me, it was just one of the greatest things in our family when you came along. So
some people would disagree, like our sister Jane, that was, well, not now, but before. I just painted her very bad, but because she's been listening.
She liked being the baby for 5 years. She was the baby, and you took that away from her.
8 years.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's 5 years younger than me. Okay.
Yeah, you flipped that. 8 years. She was the baby for 8 years. I stole it. It was my fault.
Stole that from her. Yeah. That was terrible. You stole that from her.
It was. So anyway, but no. So she's been listening, and really haven't had any questions, but we've had quite a few people coming in and out. So and listening. So if anybody did, other than Jane saying that, hey, I'm working and listening, which I responded to in chat versus interrupting you. But yeah, like I can't think of anything else to like ask you. Because I think you went over like in really extreme good detail. Like, I mean, I know I lived it with you to a certain degree and was talking to you and that kind of thing, being in family and that kind of thing. But like I said, it's cool of you to share it with us. And I think you're going to be writing a blog on it, which I'm sure you might even delve into some other things, aspects a little bit more. And sometimes when you read things, it's better. So obviously when the blog comes out, we'll let you all know.
Yeah, there'll be more in the blog detail. I think the blog will be a lot more detailed. As I've been writing it, I want to try to get as much into it. It's a little bit different than speaking about it. There's some great fun photos of me. My first photo I did take of me doing my first chemo when I had no hair, and the picture of me when I had no hair and came down to I think, what was it, when
in July for Vespers graduation.
July for Vespers for graduation, where I was feeling fairly decent. That's before everything kind of went apart, and then the most recent stuff. But
I still find it funny, one, that Vesper, I mean, like in a good way, Vesper had been shaving their head, but then like sent you a selfie because like you had sent us a selfie. So Vesper was like, okay, so sent you a selfie, and then you all had a picture done, and it was like, is it bald, beautiful babes? I'm sure we'll find it and put it out there, but it was on my socials. If anybody follows me, already saw them with that, but we will share it again. I'm sure. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna go ahead and end this here for all of us on Facebook, and we'll end the video. And if you are watching this, please share on Facebook, share on YouTube. If you have any questions, please contact us. We have taken community questions all the time. Next month's Allergy Dragons Lair for that we're going to do live, because we're doing one live, and then we've been doing episodes that I've been doing by myself with special interviewees. I have a couple of more coming up with those. So next week I have a really cool episode coming out. And then but that will be straight to YouTube. So obviously make sure you subscribe and click the bell. That way you can see all those episodes. And but we're going to be Facebook Live. We're going to be doing a Halloween edition. Yay. I'm sorry. We love Halloween.
We love Halloween.
Too much.
Okay. We love Halloween.
Too much. And I'm not sure but we're going to dress up. We're having a Halloween party. So anyway, so be sure to check us out for that. And we will see you all later. Bye.
Bye.